this first assignment, rhythm, composition, motion, the idea is that you're going to create an image with a flat shape that creates a progression across the compositional area. I want you to go the long way across it with, this first one has this kind of thorny claw shape. Second one is kind of like balloon boxing glove. I don't know. Just these first assignments here show you that the shape is abstract, meaning it's a simplification of something that's more complicated. And it suggests, like the top one suggests thorns, hooks, claws, but it doesn't tell you that it's any one of those things in particular. So it's a range of what it could be. That's good abstraction. The second one, also, this kind of like balloon, I don't know, water bottle, something like that. Sort of like an old-timey water bottle. This third one, rectangles or parallelograms. It's a similar shape. So you can use the same shape with variation. In some cases, students will use different shapes, but if you introduce a lot of things, it might get a little bit complicated and make it harder for you to show the intention of the composition. So, and in a little bit, I'm going to do a drawing demonstration of how to begin these drawings. So the assignment description: arrive at 3 distinct compositions that express a different rhythm, movement, or progression, each within a 5 by 10 inch rectangle. That you're going to put together on the board. That you don't even have to worry about until next week. First, you make drawings. So, as a starting point, you find images that express movement or rhythm. This progression of this fence receding into the distance. Your eye follows it all the way to the top of that little rise up there. Nature. This is nature, but it's also organized by humans. Some orchard in the winter, and but you can see where your eye is pulled into a unified spot. I would prefer that you work across compositions like this in architecture, this zigzag of the roof line. The painter Bridget Riley, she was big in the 60s and 70s. I think she's quite a good painter. She makes these oil paintings that seem to have an undulating surface, but they're really flat. Edward Muybridge, in the 19th century, did motion studies of animals and humans with a series of cameras. You can see this naked dude pole vaulting here. And your eye follows the progression of those images. This is the basis for film, for motion picture, for movies, which is not what he meant to do. He was trying to prove a point. He was trying to study motion. And then I think Edison is the one who picked this up and did some of the first movies. This artist, Andy Goldsworthy, this curving yellow, what he's done here is he's taken leaves and rearranged them on the stone so that it creates what looks like a river in the yellow leaf. So these are things that if it helps you to look at, just something visual that gives you an idea of what moves or what seems to move. This architecture is solid and static form, and it, the way, depending on how it is organized, it can appear to move. All right, so use good sources. Now, sketches like this, these are some student sketches that show attempts. And your sketches are not always going to be successful, and that's okay. The way making images works is not that you sit there, you get a good idea, it's good, you draw it, and it's done. That's rare, honestly. I've been making artwork for a long time. I've been doing illustration. You have to try ideas out to see if they're any good. Your brain can trick you and make you think that some really cool idea when you make it is like, not so hot. So these are some refined sketches, and these are smaller. These are not the 5 by 10 inch. These are about 3 by 6. And I'd like you to make a series of these that are smaller at 3 by 6 inches. And so you can see, some of these are more successful than others. I think these, like, the one with the meandering, the upper left corner, it's all right. It gets a little, I think it's trying to be a little too tricky. The one at the bottom that looks kind of like 3 tornadoes, it's okay, but there are better ones. So some of your drawings will be better than others. Here is a refinement. And the student shows that one on the top that I was like kind of iffy on, but ultimately it's your decision. If you tell me, if you think that there's something that is better, and I think like, I'm not so sure, you can insist and just say, I'm doing it. I wouldn't worry about your grade too much. If you could persuade me. But if I tell you like, this is not going to work as well, you might want to listen. All right. So 3 of the compositions that you do will be refined as 5 by 10 inch drawings to work out the details of the different scale. When you go from the 3 by 6 inch to 5 by 10 inch, you want to redraw it so that you can see what it really looks like. If it's small and it works and you make it bigger, it might not, or it might not be as good. Okay, so once drawings are complete, they will be recreated using black and white paper and mounted to presentation board. And I'm going to show you that process of making the collage next week. So repetition of shape should lead the viewer's eye compellingly through each composition. Go the long way. Organic, so organic suggests that they come from nature. Geometric seem to come from geometry, right? Sometimes geometry and natural forms seem similar, or there's no clear, there's not a clear distinction. There are organic things that seem to be geometric, like a planet or the moon. So if you get really big, really small, you see geometry in nature more, I think, a little bit more clearly, but there are a lot of, there are other examples too, like the spiral of a conch shell. That actually has a mathematical formula that can be applied to it. The ancient Greeks figured that out a long time ago. So you may suggest realistic space or use color along with the black and white, but beware, color does not necessarily make things clearer. But I do like this, like the drips. You could have used a few more, whoops. Could have used a few more drips. I like these kind of like spiky spears. So this is a good, this student asked me, can I use color? And I said, sure, let's see what you can do. And I think she did pretty well. The basic requirement is black and white. So you do not have to use color. You would not be penalized if you don't use color. It can be plenty to have to deal with color, or just to deal with the black and white, sorry. All right, this presentation is in Blackboard under the assignments, if any of you have perused the assignments section. So far I have just this first one done. I've got to recreate assignments, so I'm going to be doing that in the coming weeks as you get ready for them. But you don't need to worry about the second assignment until you finish the first one. and your supplies list will give you everything you need in order to do this first one. So, all right. Are there okay. No. Okay. I am now, it's only 10 o'clock. Excuse me. A little congested this morning. All right. Now I'm going to do go. All right. So I'm set up here. Okay. Okay, so that's later. Okay, so 3 by 6. If I just sketch out, making straight lines freehand, just draw them quickly. As a sketch to begin this assignment, that's perfectly okay right there. How did I do? That's my trick. That's about 3. That's about 6. Wow. I've done this before. Okay, so let's say I want to use something simple for this first drawing. A rectangle. I want to make this progression seem to go from here and then out here. I can go anywhere I want to with it, but I suggest that you keep it going toward that. So you might even sketch in a line like that that suggests, like sort of gives you your path. And now I can try this with a rectangle. And I'm going to just let this crop this like that. An open composition is when you have the image seem to go out of the picture. So open composition is if you have small. So open composition, if I have rectangles I'm using, and I let some of them get cropped by the edge of my composition rectangle, it suggests that there's more out here. That's like a window onto some world. A closed composition is when you have it, like if I just don't let them go all the way to the edge, and everything is contained within the border. This tends to look flatter. This tends to suggest space and depth. So so this is closed. There are reasons to use both. If you're designing something that's flat, page design, like a book cover, or sometimes like a web page, something that's really not meant to be read as having depth, then a closed composition can be better. Open compositions are really more like a, imitate a picture of something. Even this, with these rectangles, and think about how I want this to go. So if I keep the rectangles just vertical, so this would be like a rule I can create for myself as I'm doing this. Come down farther here. And they don't all have to be the same length, although I am doing that. Offset like that, all the way down here. Let them get there. I did it. All right. Sketch that in. Grab my work. Well, I could use this pen, or because I want to fill these in, this marker that I have on your supplies list. That or that. But the nice soft, flexible brush nib is nice. But I think in this case, this chisel nib will make my work more efficient. Yeah. There I go. Okay. So, good thing I drew this out. This gets a little hard to see the progression. I might make these a little closer together. But that is, that's not bad. Okay, good. I don't necessarily need to put that border on there, but I might. It helps you to see it better. Okay. All right, that's one. Something for me to think about. And another one. Sharpener here. Okay. I hope you all can have some workspace at home that is dedicated to your work, even if it's small. All right. Now, you know what? Here. I think I'll do this. Your ruler, inches. So let's see, you can see there. All right. If you want to make an even rectangle on this sheet, measure off the edge. And I'm going to go over this because I sometimes, if you're not familiar with using a straight edge like this to draw even rectangles, you might, I've seen students make some inaccurate assumptions. I need to measure 1 inch off the top in 2 places to get that, and then I will measure 3 inches down. This ruler has a mark at 0, which is helpful, which is off the edge. If you're using the end of the ruler at 0, it's going to be inconsistent. So I mark down 3 and 3. I find it's helpful. I'm right-handed, so I draw on the right side of this. Now, there's this perforation right here, and I will go like 0 on the perforation, 1 and 1, and then 6 and 6. Okay. When you're drafting out a rectangle, when you're preparing a piece of paper to cut, make sure you square it up off of the edge of the sheet so that it actually is straight. So, and again, I bring that up because I see students doing it in some unique ways that don't give them very good results. All right, so that last one was geometric. Let's do something that's organic, like a leaf shape. I can even like maybe cut a little out of that. Okay, let's say I want like that. I don't like that. It's a little too, I don't know. Trying to use this shape. And I can leave it simple like this so that is it a leaf or is it a flame? If you have it upright, it can look like it's a flame. So I remember as a student, at first I did not understand abstraction. Nobody explained abstraction to me. And so it always seemed kind of mysterious and even just like weird. When you don't understand something, it can be easy to have this reaction against it. And, I never had any good reason to dislike abstraction other than I just didn't know it. Okay. I'll try this way, keep them upright. Mhm. Okay. So this drawing right now, I can tell as I'm beginning it. This is going to be, I'm going to need to try some things. I'm not really sure what I want out of it yet. I know I want to go this way in terms of its progression, although it can also, it can be read that way too. Um, I think if you grow up reading text left to right, it's easy to fall into making things go left to right all the time. It's nice to make something go the opposite way if that's not what you're used to. So I think I'm going to draw some of these things. Why not? I'm going to use elements of perspective where they get smaller. I don't want to make them too small. I'm going to have to cut them out, but I want to get this idea going here. That's good. These should be bigger up here. Yep, good. Okay, it's a little bit better. So if you work something out in pencil where you can erase, then you can try different things. This drawing right now is not set. I can add and subtract things still. Once I use my marker on it, then it's done. If you make a drawing and it doesn't work and you think this is a disaster, then fine, just move on to another one. Some of your attempts will not be successful. That is a very normal thing in visual work. I think the idea with going to school for something is that you learn how to make mistakes and how to fix them, so that when you go to a job someplace as a designer, or anything, or when you're an artist and you're making a drawing, a painting, an etching, or a screen print, throwing a pot. If you make a mistake, you know how to move beyond it, either correcting it or just trashing it and realizing what you did wrong or what didn't work, and then avoiding that on your next attempt. So it is normal. If you make a mistake, you're not bad at this. You're normal at this. Everybody does. And if you look at successful artists and designers, there was a time in that person's life when that person did not know how to do what they do. If you think about anyone who's successful, anyone, we all develop and we all learn. So I know how to do things now that I did not know how to do when I was a teenager, when I was an undergraduate. And, I had to learn how. And you learn through training. Honestly, I personally think that everybody is a natural at making images. This is something that humans do. So everybody has talent. You need to practice and find your talent. There's really no such thing as some people are just better at creative things than others. They're just different. So, okay, this is better. This is okay. So linear perspective, change size. If you change the scale from larger to smaller progressively, it gives the impression of this traveling. It's almost like they're moving away from you in space. That's it's pretty clear to me. Now you have this open space here. You might want to think about maybe a few little stray guys that are, straying from the group, just so that it looks a little bit more like natural and realistic. You don't have to make it look like it's real, but it's kind of cool if you throw in elements that make it look a little bit more realistic. It tends to be a little bit more persuasive as an idea.